What's up YouTube, Dal here from Zephyr Wargames, and today I am bringing you an informative video about the brand new card Duality. Now this is the brand new card that came out in Battles of Legend Monstrous Revenge, which is out today, and it's an incredibly good card considered for branded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of the bridges, all of the cards you can turn from lights to darks and darks to light in a branded deck that will give you some form of advantage. I will also bring you an updated branded profile and a very spicy branded Dark Magician profile later on in this week as well. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. So let's start off by asking what Duality is. Well, Duality is a quick play spell card that allows you to tribute one light or dark monster as cost, which is really important because you'll see through some of these examples, being able to do that as cost allows you to dodge certain effects. Stuff that targets like imperms on Lubelians and Albions are now no longer a huge issue. You then get to special summon one light or dark monster with the same original type and level but a different original attribute from your hand or extra deck. During your main phase, you can banish this card from the graveyard to target one light and one dark monster in your graveyard, shuffle both into the deck, and then draw one card. So on top of that, you can only use each of the effects once per turn. It not only allows you to dodge targeting, but it also allows you to recycle some of your materials as well, which means if you wanted to, you could recycle a Dust Dragon, or you're probably more likely going to be able to recycle your Quests if you need to and they get to the graveyard and everything else. So let's start off with the one that everyone has been talking about, and that is the very easy, very quick and very direct route of turning a Dust Dragon into a Dragoon. So as you'll see on the screen, both of them are level 8s, both of them are spellcasters. Dragoon is a dark, Dust Dragon is a light. So it's very easy, and what this allows you to do is, again in this example of dodging stuff like imperms, veilers, any effect that targets, it will allow you to bait out a hand trap and then activate Duality and tag out an incredibly powerful Dust Dragon into a even more powerful Dragoon, while also still maintaining the ability of having Dust Dragon in the graveyard for its graveyard effect as well. So that is probably the most common one that everyone is going to be utilizing going forward. The next one, we're going to look at Lubelians. Now we're talking about the extra deck Lubelian and of course the main deck Beastial Lubelian. Now why is this one so good? Well, again on the example of Lubelian the Searing Dragon, it allows you to dodge stuff like imperms and veilers and then still use Lubelian as fodder to be shuffled back in for the fusion play. With the Beastial Lubelian, you don't really gain a huge advantage unless they're trying to stop the ability to set that card on the field. But what these give you the ability for is a very nice back row protective option, a front row aggressive option, and a defensive interactive option. Now I know you lot are all out there going, what the heck are you talking about? Well, they can tag out into any Dark Dragon that is level 8. Funnily enough, in an Albaz or a branded deck, you're already playing Titaniclad if you wish to, and that's one of the ones you need to get off the board and you'll get its end phase effect. However, there are 3 other cards that are great targets for this. The first most common one will be Borreload Furious Dragon. And Borreload Furious Dragon is a level 8 Dark Dragon, so it fits the bill perfectly. It has a very nice quick effect to target a monster you control and one card your opponent controls and destroy them. You can also banish it from the graveyard to target a Dark Link monster if you feel in extra spicy and putting Link monsters in your deck, in your graveyard and special summon it, but it cannot activate its effect this turn. So that one's going to be a little bit less relevant, but the fact you can pop one of your own cards and then one of your technically one of your monsters and then one of your opponent's card as a quick effect is very, very good. Now the spice and the Dark Magician kind of involvement of this deck. You can actually summon Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. Why the hell would you want to do that, I hear you scream? Well, very simply, while this card is on the field, your opponent cannot target spells and traps you control with card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So they can't get rid of Branded Lost, they can't early pop your Branded in red. If you are playing any other form of back row, whether you want to be playing a counter trap, if you want to be playing more control options, if you set a load of cards to bluff your opponent out, they can't deal with them. Now, this is a very niche involvement, and it's a very niche card, and it would probably be suited more to a control version if you wanted to play the Beastial Trap card as well. And, of course, if you were playing the Beastial Regained as well for draw effects, it would be very, very funny. But it's just another alternative option. I think that your Furious Dragon is probably going to be your #1 target. But for me, because of Dark Magician involvement, I'm actually going to be looking at Dark Magician, the Magical Knight of Dragons. Now again, this is a brand new card that came out in the Battles of Legends set, and it reads as follows. If your monster attacks a defense vision monster, not this monster, your monster, so any of your monsters inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. So that means my Dragoon can become piercing. It means my boss monsters of Lubelian, Mirror Jade, heck, even a stacked up Titaniclad can become a piercing boss monster. Once per turn, when your monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that destroyed monster's original attack, as if piercing wasn't enough. You do also have the very nice option that if this card is destroyed by any means necessary, Borrowed Furious Dragon, you can special summon a Dark Magician and a Gaia the Dragon Champion from your hand, deck, extra deck, and or graveyard. It's very rare you're going to be using that, but the spice ability of giving all of your monsters piercing and the ability to constantly keep burning your opponent gives the deck a great step up for OTK capabilities. Now, like I said, the extra deck is going to be tight for a deck like this. You're probably, if you're like, I only have one target, you're probably going to go for Furious Dragon because it can be aggressive and defensive. But if you're feeling extra spicy and wanting to pump out a card your opponent is not going to expect, Dark Magician, the Magical Knight, for sure. We then move on to the counterpart to the Lubelians, and they are, of course, the Albions. Now, the Albion target isn't going to be as aggressive as the Lubelian target, but what they will give you, both on the Albion Dragon dodging imperms and veilers and trying to negate the banish effects, and then the Albion Dragon, just because you can freely special summon it from the hand sometimes, can be very, very useful. These will allow you to cheat out the Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. So if Gimmick Puppet Lock it was too hard for you to do before, now it's just incredibly important, or incredibly easy. So with the Albions, they are dark level 8 dragons. The Sanctifier is a light level 8 dragon. So again, it can't be used as fusion material. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, target 2 monsters in the graveyard and special summon both, 1 to each field. If this card is in the graveyard, you contribute 4 monsters. Now, keep in mind, I believe coming back from the graveyard is not going to be possible because technically it special summons the monster from the extra. It doesn't correctly summon it. So any float abilities like that will be null and void. But the fact of the matter is you can cheat out a Sanctifier Dragon if you wanted to Gimmick Puppet Lock on a more degenerate level. You can do very, very easily. And now the final kind of bridges that I'm going to talk you through, these are only going to be during your opponent's turn because keep in mind, you're going to be summoning Synchro monsters off the back of these, so it will lock you out of Branded Fusion, or if you activate Branded Fusion first, you won't be able to do it. So this is of course going to be the Aluba, the Jester of Despia, being able to tag out into Herald of the Arclight. Yes, they are both fairies. Yes, they are both level 4s. One is light, one is dark. Now, the reason this is kind of cool is that you're able to kind of get a Macrocosmo or a mini Macrocosmo onto the board and an Omni Negate very nicely and easily. The downside is because it's a Synchro, you're only going to really be able to do this during your opponent's turn. And in order to do it during your opponent's turn, you need to have Albion on the board. And to get Albion back from the graveyard, your opponent has to destroy it. So you're either going to try and revive with Quem, which I feel if you're going to try and revive a Cartesia, you're going to choose that more times than not. Or you're going to leave an Albion on the board and either go, oh no, I misplayed, and hope your opponent buys into that. Or you're going to be able to tag it out and turn it into a Herald. Now, obviously, it can also be done going through the normal routes where you would leave an Albion on the board and not use it as fusion material, but I feel that it's very rare that you're going to be doing that. The other option is turning any of your level 6 Beastials, whether that be Magnamut, whether that be Saranir, if you are still playing them, into the Golden Cloud Beast them along. Now, again, this isn't something that is going to be as interactive as dropping a Herald on your opponent, but if it is special summons, you can increase or decrease its level, making it a level 7 tuner or a level 5 tuner. But then if it is sent to the graveyard, you can target a face-up card your opponent tries and return it to the hand. So it does kind of put up a bit of a wall that if your opponent gets rid of it, you're going to bounce another card as well. So you're basically doing a two-in-one exchange. And obviously, if you've activated off the back of a Magnamut or something, or a Saranir, you're going to be able to trigger to get their effects off. Less relevant than the previous cards that I've mentioned. I feel the most useful kind of applications for Duality is of course going to be able to cheese out Dragoon, cheese out your Sanctifier Dragon, and possibly even cheese out the Borrowed Furious Dragon, because I feel all 3 of those cards have very good and powerful interactions. And if you're like, you know what, I'm going to put in the Dark Magician, the Magical Knight, just to kind of mess with my opponent because they're not going to see it coming, it's definitely going to be worth doing. Anyway, that was a shortish, sweetish kind of video for you guys. Hopefully to kind of give you all the bridges. I feel that Duality has dropped in price now. I think I've been seeing some people selling them for like £10 to £12 a copy. And my advice to you is if you can pick up a playset for £30 to £40, definitely get it. I picked up my playset for £55 because I knew the card was going to be good in a lot of light and dark decks that I play. But being able to utilize it in branded to the max capability right now is still incredibly important and very powerful. And the fact that it has multiple targets that you're naturally playing anyway, in the form of stuff like Dragoon and Sanctifier Dragon, it's a no-brainer. The fact that it allows you to dodge imperms and veilers on your Lubelians and your Albions kind of makes it even more important, because then it means that you are dodging multiple hand traps, and still going back to the fact that the only hand trap you really, really fear is going to be something like an Ash Blossom. And even then, you can still technically play around that and still get plays going. So, for example, if you can turn your Lubelian, the Beastial, into an Albion, the Branded Dragon, and then use the Lubelian's graveyard effect to sack it off and bring it back, then that is a kind of a long route to do, because you would have already had to bring back the Lubelian. But the idea is that you're able to kind of tag into fusion plays as an alternative. It's not cookie cutter on that particular route as of yet. There are still more to come. But it does now mean that if we get a level 4 spellcaster that is a light or a dark that can come out of the extra deck, then you're going to be having targets for Quem. Level 4 dragons, you've got targets with Albaz as well. So there's just more that will stack up in the future. The fact that the light and darks and the branded deck utilizes dragons and spellcasters, two of the highest kind of represented archetypes in the entire, or like types in the entire game, you can bet your bottom dollar that Duality will have more options in the future as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I will be bringing you updated profiles for both Dark Magician branded and, of course, branded as well. By getting the video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours will show you want to see more type of content like this, and I will, of course, bring them to you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.